What is going on? Welcome back to Founder Fire. Super excited for just continue the series that we have, and we're about to hit the goal. I actually wanted to wait until we hit the goal before I recorded the video, but I was like, you know what? It would be inauthentic for me to delay making a video simply because of an arbitrary goal that I shared when we're going to hit it next week. So those guys know who've been following along. I've been documenting how we are building an AI-powered revenue operations platform and using it to power our 6 to 8-figure brand that we're currently building. And so we're very, very close to doing $1 million in revenue this month. And I'm just going to pull that company dashboard open for you so you can kind of see it. So in the last 7 days, we've already done $250,000 damn near in cash collected. And so far, for the month of March, we've done $936,980 in cash collected, and so far we've done $970,800 in revenue. So we're very close to hitting the $1 million mark. As of today's date, it's the 26th. We're definitely going to hit that $1 million mark, but it'll have to be in another video when I share the update for that company. All right, so if you don't know, my name is Iggy Odighizuwa. I'm the founder of CharlieAI.io, an AI-powered revenue automation platform that helps you generate more sales qualified leads onto your sales team's calendar without you having to lift a damn finger. And it's hands down the most effective way we found to manage leads, generate intent, book them on autopilot, follow up with them until they're ready to buy or die, and streamline that entire process without you or your team lifting a damn finger. And I will die on that grave. I will die on that hill. There's no other platform out there that's even close to as powerful as what Charlie's able to do for a high ticket sales team. Now, there are platforms out there that are designed for high volume transactional type of chat bots, things like that. Charlie's not that, right? If you have a sales team and you want to scale your sales conversion without necessarily having to scale your headcount, Charlie is your ticket. What I've been doing is just been going into how I think through building out revenue automations, how I think through building out an 8-figure sales organization. If you've not watched some of those videos, definitely encourage you to watch those videos. All right, I've shared where we started, the mistakes that we made in February that caused us to our revenue to dip by over $100,000, and then the pivots that we made in February that set us up for the month that we're having in March. And we are about to go from doing $460,000 in cash in February to doing over $1 million in cash collected in March. That is a very radical shift, right? That's a really radical shift. So if you've not been paying attention or following along, I highly encourage you to do so, because everything that I share is we're eating our own dog food, and you're watching me use our own product, our software, to build the type of business that our platform is designed to serve, and ultimately help you understand, I've been there. A lot of people are building products similar to Charlie that have never ran a sales team, that have never built a big business, that have never pushed the volume that we push. And so it's being built technically sound, but when it comes to the actual application of it, there's lots of flaws in how it's being the functional application of the platform. Whereas Charlie's been built with the function of what it needs to do inside of a scaling and growing organization first, and then we're making the technical adjustments to be able to ensure that it functions at scale the way that an organization needs it to. So doing a quick high-level recap, I went through my AI lead management playbook. How do you get your sales organization ready to adopt AI inside of your revenue operations, inside of your marketing flows, inside of your lead management, all those things? If you've not got my AI lead management playbook, highly, highly recommend you get so. We'll put the link of it in the description. And then I went through how do you build your forecasting and how do you start to predict the future for your business with my AI sales team. It's an 8-figure sales operations playbook. So I went through what that looks like, how we essentially map that, how we set targets, all that good stuff. right? And then we went into like forecasting. How do we go about doing that? So what I want to dive into today is really, it's the boring stuff that not enough people really think about, but it's the cadence. Like, how do you manage your team? How do you manage the people? How do you inspire them to take high levels of actions? How do you inspire them to solve problems? And how do you create an environment that is conducive for explosive growth and being able to do it in a way that allows you to focus on the most important parts of your business at a high level? So for me, it starts with the right systems in place. And that's why I really harp on like having really good systems and having good documentations and taking the time to write out like what are those things that needs to happen inside of your business, and like writing out like what is that roadmap to somebody becoming a client with your company, and what does that roadmap look like for them to get the results that they want, the outcome that they're paying you for, and how do you operationalize those things and empower your team to drive those results. We're an AI forward company, so we utilize AI throughout every facet of our organization. And our goal with Charlie is to provide high ticket business owners who are focused on creating transformational outcome, provide them the leverage that I wish I had when I was growing and building my companies several years ago, and got it to a point where we had over 40 different DM setters at one point. It was just absolutely insane. So one of the most important things that you really need to understand is like, once you have the systems in place, your processes down, how do you create an environment where you're empowering your people to operate at a high level? And there's really 5 things that you need to have in place to be able to do so. So I have 5 pillars, and then we have 4 behavioral core values, right? 4 behavioral values that kind of like tie our team together and help them make really good decisions. So the first one that we have is, I like to set the expectation up front. Be very, very clear what the expectations are, what you expect from your people, and then get very, very clear on what they can expect from you as their leader. So you got to set the expectations up front. And that happens at all the different levels of leadership. All right, so I set the expectation up front for my core management team. They set the expectation up front for their teams and their direct reports, right? And then their direct reports set the expectation, what they expect from them up front. My core team tells me what they expect from me up front, and so that there's no misunderstanding, so that there's no unspoken expectations that haven't been communicated, right? And that's one of the biggest things that leads to dysfunction within teams, especially when your company is growing as fast as the one that I'm documenting right here, right? When I first recorded the video, even back in December, they'd never touched 500K in a month. And then we hit 500K, and then it was 400, and then now we're about to do 1 million. So you got to set the expectations up front, both ways. What do I expect from you in your role within our organization, and what do you expect from me, right? So here's what I expect from you, and then here's what you can expect from me, right? Does that match your expectations of me, right? So set the expectations up front, number 1. And then number 2, I create an identity for our group. What is our identity? Who are we going to be? Who do we need to be in this season of our business, in this season of my life? Who do I need to be? So set the identity, all right? And then, so we set the expectations, we set the identity for that unit, for the organization. So that our identity as an organization, we have our identity as a team, as a management team. They have their identity within their own departments. Like, what is the identity of this unit of people here, right? And then from there, we give them decision-making frameworks. How do you make decisions within your unit that is in the best interest of the company and of the client and of the team? How do we do things in a way that serves every single one from top to bottom, from bottom up, right? So you create decision-making frameworks, you empower them, and you guide the decision-making. And then pillar number 4 is we challenge them to grow. We challenge them to grow. So we set the expectation, we set the identity, we We give them clear decision-making frameworks, and then we challenge them to grow. The expectations for you to grow, how you start is not how you should finish. Who you are when you started is not who you are if you ever leave or when you ascend or get promoted. And then the pillar number 5 is we provide exceptional support system. From the bottom up, everyone has access to be able to be heard and to escalate situations beyond their direct report if an issue is truly pressing. Everyone has access to be able to do so, and no one is above the standard, myself included, especially me. So those are the 5, right? Those are the 5 pillars for building a highly successful team, a championship team. Like those are like my pillars. And then the behavioral core values that we have. Number 1 is we care. We care a ton. And there's 3 levels to our care. We care about the work that we do, the people that we do it with, and the people that we do it for. That's the thing. Everyone on our team, we care about the things that we're doing. Nobody does anything in a silo. So I don't care whether you are an engineer or whether you are behind the scenes or whether you are customer facing. Like, we care because everything we do impacts another department, has a downstream effect. So nobody builds anything in silos. So we care above board. Number 2 is we're committed. We define somebody's commitment in their consistency. How dependable are you? How do you show up? When there's a problem, are you going out of your way to help solve that problem? We have care, we have commitment, and then we have competence. We are good at what we do. Excellence is the standard. So we're competent. So competent means like the skill that you bring to the table, but then you being a part of the team needs to be a force multiplier. So there's different levels to being competent. So you have the skills that you bring, your ability to learn, right? So it's really not really your ability to learn, it's your intelligence. You bring skills, you're intelligent, and you fail intelligently. There's 3 types of failure. Only one of them is acceptable on our team. There's lazy failure, where if you try something, it doesn't work, and then you just quit. And then you start asking for help without doing any additional work to try and figure it out on your own. There's clinically dumb failure, which means like you do something over and over and over again. You keep making the same mistakes repeatedly, and it's taking you longer than it should for you to learn and figure it out, right? This clinically dumb behavior, right? And then even when you do figure it out, the other level to clinically dumb behavior is that lesson that you learn stays with you. So a good example, an extreme example would be somebody who's clinically dumb touches a hot stove. They touch a hot stove, burns their hand. They're like, ow, that hurt a lot. And they can't figure out why that hurt. So they touch the stove again, and they keep touching the stove and keep touching the stove. And then they eventually figure out they should stop touching the stove. And then somebody who's truly clinically dumb touches the stove, burns themselves to the point where they can't touch the stove anymore. And then they sit down and watch somebody else come and touch that same stove they just got done being burned. So now, not only did they take forever to no longer learn to not touch the stove, but then they sit back and watch somebody else touch a stove and have to go through the same pain they just went through because they're too incompetent to share that lesson with somebody else. So an intelligent failure, because perfection isn't expected on our team. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistake. Hence, last month, we made an over $100,000 mistake. Like the mistake that was made in February quite literally cost the business $100,000, over $100,000 in cash collected. And I documented it and shared it publicly with you guys if you've been following along. So perfection isn't expected, but you need to fail intelligently, because that mistake, we identified the failure, but we learned from it, documented the lesson that was learned from that failure, implemented the change. Then I went and communicated that finding with the executive team. We made the downstream changes, and then we go from February being one of our worst months in the last few months to March being our absolute gangbuster breakout month, and we're gonna cross over $1 million in cash collected. Right? That's intelligent failure. You make a mistake, you learn from it, you document it, and then you share it with your team so the collective competence of the team goes up. All right. So good example of intelligent failure in that same situation. You touch the stove. You're like, oh, wow, that stove is hot. And then you start making observational notes about it. So you look at the stove, you're like, okay, the stove is red. That's probably an indicator that it's hot. Then you put your hand over the stove. You don't touch it, but you just put your hand over the stove enough to feel the heat. You're like, okay, yeah, I feel that it's hot. Then you start looking for other indicators that it's hot. So you make note of the little red button on the stove that's shining red, indicating that it's hot. And then you look at the knob, you're like, oh, this is on, it's high. And then you turn the knob off. And now this thing is no longer red, but that button is still showing red, indicating that it's still hot. And even though it's no longer red, you put your hand over it, you're like, okay, I can still feel that it's hot. You make notes of it. And then before somebody else is about to make the same mistake, you take your findings and you share it with your team. You share it with the team, and we document it and make sure everyone understands this lesson that we learned. And we document the process and make it a part of our playbook. So whenever we bring on somebody new, they're able to get competent to where we need them to be a lot faster without having to make the same repeat mistakes, right? That's what it means to be competent part of our team, part of our organization. And then the fourth thing is curiously obsessed. We are curiously obsessed. That means you need to be obsessed about the thing that we do and about the thing that you are responsible for doing within your job. So you're curiously obsessed. And that means you're going out of your way to learn. You're going out of your way to study. You're asking, how can we do this better? You're observing how other people in similar verticals are doing their thing at a high level, and you're trying to pull lessons. And you're just curious in nature. And when you get obsessed about something, you just can't help but just consume as much information about it as you can, right? So those are like our core behaviors that ties our entire organization together. Those are the glue that allows us, when somebody comes on, if they have those 4 core behaviors, then they're going to be a good fit. But if they don't have those 4 core behaviors, they're going to get repelled, simply because it's going to become very, very clear that, one, they don't care, they're not committed, they're not competent, and they're not obsessively curious. They're not a good fit. The business is going to act as its own immune system and spit people out who aren't a good fit, and pull people in who are a good fit, who align with those core values and who align with our core behaviors, right? So not only is it cool to talk about like the revenue records and where we're going and what we're doing with AI and all the cool things that we're doing there, but the leverage that I'm building Charlie to create for myself is so that I can have the bandwidth to develop and invest in the people on my team and invest in improving the product and our infrastructure so that our clients and our customers have the best possible experience and get the best possible outcomes, right? Charlie's allowed me to be the father that I want, to be the husband that I want, to be the leader that I want, and it is giving me the leverage that I need to be able to focus on the highest level activities within my business, within our organization. So I can share in these videos and these findings and what we're learning, right? So the cool thing about like that company that I was talking about is they don't have any setters, not a single human setter at all. And it's been so cool to document how we are building $1 million a month, an 8-figure company that's purely powered by Charlie as a primary and only appointment setter in the entire organization. So it's been the coolest thing, and being able to do it in a way where everyone on that team loves working for the team. They love working for the company. They're all like really bought in, and they have a life that they're happy about, right? Like everyone without fail just says, I love being a part of the team. So that's what happens when you have leverage and you can focus on, one, you put the right systems in place, you put the right processes in place, but then you have the right human system that enables the people that are responsible for doing the different things to show up at their best and perform at a really high level. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Till next time, stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms. Peace.